energy in Florida is amazing because of the abundant sun that we get here. And unfortunately, because of the really high utility rates that we have here as well. Basically, it works. The sun shines on the panels produce the energy, goes through an inverter, essentially converts it into usable power by your house. That energy is then used by your lights, your appliances, your electric vehicle that's charging every night. Excess energy overflows, goes out to the grid, rolls through your meter, and if your utility participates in net metering, you get credits on your bill before that energy produced and sent to the grid. At nighttime, on cloudy days, times when you might need more power than you actually produce, you pull that power back from the utility and either use those credits or pay that bill for that minimal amount of power. One of the common misconceptions with solar is that you have to pay many, many thousands of dollars now to go solar, and you recoup that benefit over 10, 15, I've even heard some people say 20 years. Never mind that those timelines are way too long even in that scenario, but the reality is most people who are going solar are not paying anything up front. They're choosing a monthly option and choosing to swap their really high utility bill for a lower solar bill and choosing to opt for or opt out of a bill that increases sometimes double-digit percentage every year for one that either doesn't increase or goes up at a much lower predictable rate. We're not seeing our neighbors and the people in our cities go solar because they're a bunch of rich people that have $50,000 or $100,000 to just spend on going green. A lot of people are doing it because it makes sense in their budget. It reduces their monthly costs immediately. And then they also get the benefit of going green by buying cheaper, cleaner power.
The first thing people are concerned about, the resale of a home. I get that question a lot and have over the years. Would it cause any problems with me selling my home? And the answer, which significant studies were done by the Department of Energy and the National Renewable Energy Laboratories, determined that homes that had solar on them in the U.S. over a 10-year span sold for more money and also faster. So the data proves the benefit even in the sale of a home with solar. I'd say the other one would be, is it going to hurt my roof? Is it going to cause some problems? Is it going to void the warranty? And the answer to that is, when we install a solar system, an additional warranty is put on to protect the customer's roof to ensure they don't have to worry about that. But the systems that are installed are really designed to be on the roof for a very long time. So they are often installed with a higher degree of care than even much of the roof was, secure against things like, hurricanes and things of that nature.
Another common misconception that I get asked a lot, at least, is do I need to have a whole room full of batteries to make sure that I have power at night? The answer is no. You don't need that to have power at night unless you're talking about battery backup. Now, here in Florida, we're in a unique situation where backup power is really nice to have. But provided that you have, favorable net metering, which currently all the big utilities in Florida have, you can export your excess power during the day, import that power at night as credits, net out your bill, and not need batteries to have solar power and power at night. Now, of course, if the grid goes down, hurricane comes through, you'll definitely want batteries at that point to store that solar power to make sure that you have power when the grid's down. But no more do we need to have entire rooms in our house dedicated to racks of batteries just to make sure our fridge keeps working.
Florida, the fact that we have retail net metering, which is the best form of rules regarding solar, Our biggest utilities, Florida Power and Light, which is the number one utility in the state, Duke Energy, which is the number two utility in the state, I think they represent somewhere around 5 to 6 million Floridians. They are required to operate a full retail net metering program, which means that essentially the grid operates like a battery for the homeowner for them to store and withdraw credits. And so there's no money advantage in adding a battery. People do often ask, they think they've heard maybe that adding a battery might save you more money in some way, which doesn't actually work. Not that way. Now, if you lived in one of the smaller utilities like the co-ops, like SECO or KUA, adding a battery might provide some additional financial benefit, but even then, it is still quite an awesome thing to go solar even without a battery in those markets. The reason for a battery in Florida is if you absolutely need to have backup power. If you feel like you just can't go and you don't want to run a generator, you just want to have the power in the event of a power outage, then consider a backup battery. No other reason. No matter which program someone chooses, the primary benefit of going solar is going to be short-term and long-term cost savings, often amounting in significant tens of thousands of dollars, not, hundreds of dollars, but tens of thousands of dollars. People sometimes wonder, is it going to, like David had said earlier, is it going to cost me up front to save in the long term? And the answer is that with the current programs, the savings begins day one for the vast majority of people. And it continues on that vein over a period of years. One of the other significant benefits, depending on the program you choose, you also have protection against the rising rates. The utility companies have to, repair and invest and grow their infrastructure and inflation and all that. So every year they petition the Utilities Commission to increase their rates. Some of them have been at significant numbers. Last year Duke Energy did double-digit increases, somewhere around 30%. Florida Powers was somewhere in the 25% range, just really big numbers. That was atypical, but still, those numbers have been fairly significant in Florida for about the last 10 years, every single year. So people are really concerned about that when they watch their utility bill going up. And having the benefit of not having that happen anymore is something that represents a lot of cost savings for people. How much it's going to go up is inevitable, but if you look at past history, you can factor that it's not going to be small. There's still a lot of room for our utility costs to grow to catch up with some of these other places. There are plenty of places that still have way more expensive electricity than us. For all the Floridians rightfully complain about their bill, there are states whose costs are another 50% higher than ours right now. So.
The first step is to find out if there's enough place to put the panels. Second would be to find out if it gets enough sun. These are things that our advisors would help with, looking at the available space, using satellite imagery, looking at the shading that is from trees surrounding buildings, maybe roof obstructions like a chimney or a second story of the home, using LiDAR maps, using historical imagery, using weather data to figure out what the weather's like in your area. Once we look at that and we find out, okay, there's enough room, the panels get enough sun, then we'll look at your utility bill and your utility rates and determine, based on your current situation, is what's possible actually better? Is it viable? If it is, and we find out, okay, the house qualifies, the system's going to be better than what you're currently doing, and the programs are better, the next step is to find out, does that homeowner actually qualify?
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that would be if the homeowner were wondering if their particular home would qualify, and let's say they had concerns, well, this may be something that impacts my ability to go solar, before they would even consider talking to an energy consultant. I would say the only things that would automatically disqualify you would be if you lived in a condo and didn't have an available roof to put it in, because the homeowners association, owns everything outside of it. Unfortunately, in Florida, it is relatively difficult to get permitting on mobile home solar systems, although in the past, some mobile home owners have said to us, but my neighbor has solar panels. They've tightened down the restrictions, is what's happened. A lot of the AHJs, which is just simply the cities and the counties that supply permits, have created more, put more protections on for things like wind and things like that, and putting, external fixtures onto those homes. We can typically do manufactured homes. We can really do most roof types. There are very few that we can't do. As long as there's some available sunlight hitting onto a roof, there's a good chance that we can help somebody. If your house cannot see the light of day on the top of it, it is unlikely, without trimming some trees back, we would be able to help you. Other than that, I would also say townhomes or row homes, also known as, if the homeowners association is responsible for the roof, in order for us to be able to help the homeowner, we have to have a signed affidavit from the homeowners association that we can install solar panels onto that HOA controlled roof, and then we can help even them. Absolutely. A ground mount structure can be built on any property that, as you mentioned, the homeowner owns, right? If it's a mobile home rental property, we can't install a ground mount, but if they own the property, then certainly we can. There is no real restrictions in a lot of areas, but some counties in Florida make it fairly prohibitive to be able to do it. So it's going to depend on where that homeowner is as to how big or where it could go or things like that. And that would be something that our consultants would be able to help guide the homeowner with if they had the desire to find out more about that.
So you've just signed on. It's minutes after you've taken care of agreements and you're so excited to install and you're wondering, all right, what's next? So even though we know what we're doing when we're in the house and we're designing your system with the best available tools, we still want to come and confirm everything and make sure that what is on site, your roof, the size, the electrical, the condition of everything, matches exactly what we thought it would be and is solar ready. So that's where the site survey comes in. The site survey is going to come, measure your roof, map out where all those vents are, look at the shading, make sure that what we have designed actually is accurate. They're going to look at your electrical system, your main breaker, your panel in the garage, or maybe it's an interior panel. Make sure that what is there is solar ready. Once that site survey result comes back to our engineering team, they're going to review everything, give the green light, and we'll move on. If there is something that needs to change, there's a vent in a spot that we didn't know, the electrical needs something changed, the roof has a condition that may be not ideal, that's where we would rework, come back to the customer, to you, and say, okay, here's the actual scenario. Here's what we found. Here's what's possible from here on out. Of course, if it's something major and it's a deal breaker, at that point, we're not going to force anybody to do a project that they don't want to do. If you find that, hey, these changes are okay, something that I was thinking about doing anyway, or no, I really want to go through and do this and go solar, we'll go ahead and rework, make plans for those changes, and then continue on the process. Once everything's agreed to, that's when we'll go ahead and get those engineering drawings. We'll submit those to the AHJ, to the city, the county, whoever holds the jurisdiction for permits. We'll get those permits back and schedule it for install. Oftentimes, install is one day. Starts early in the morning, somewhere between 7 and 8 a.m. The guys will map out everything, get all their tools ready, get everything done, and install the system, keep everything nice, clean and professional. On bigger projects, or of course, weather involved here in the summer rainstorms, sometimes projects take 2 days. Once install is completed, everybody's happy. We're going to go ahead and schedule inspection with the city or the county. They'll come out, make sure that we did everything correct the way we said we would on those permits that they had previously approved. And once the inspection passes, we're going to go ahead and submit to the utility. This is the fun part where we all just sit and wait for the utility to do their part and say, yeah, you're going solar. All right, I guess we'll approve you. That process feels the longest out of all of this because we're all sitting there. The panels are up there. We're ready to go. Once the utility gives that approval, they're going to send an email or a letter to you as well as to us, giving permission to operate. That's where we go ahead and flip the switch, have a little celebration, and we'll walk you through your system monitoring at that point. From that point on, the rest is history. You're solar powered, clean energy, powered by the sun. You should start to see results immediately. Yeah, so typical project timeline here in Florida, I would say somewhere between 30 and 45 days for most areas to install. And then from install to permission to operate from the utility, I would say that could be another 15 to 45 days. And that is heavily utility dependent based on which utility you have.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, can solar panels provide enough energy for a typical household in Florida? And the answer is yes. Florida is called the Sunshine State for a reason. We may not be the sunniest state in the country. We claim that title for ourselves, but we may not be the sunniest place in the country, but we are in the top 5. And so Floridians who use all electric and run a lot of air conditioning are often worried that their bills would outpace what any solar panels could do. What they don't realize is that we have a lot of sun. So we are absolutely, in most cases, able to provide the customer all of their energy needs from the solar system over the course of a year.
So one of the things that sets us apart is our consultative approach, recognizing that at the end of the day, every family is unique. While you might have the same exact house as your neighbor, you might have the same model, your needs, your priorities are going to be different. Nothing we do is coming in and pushing a certain setup or a certain product on you. With the knowledge that every family is unique and every family is looking for something a little different, we meet you where you are, find out what your needs are, find out what you're looking for, and tailor something specifically to those needs. At the end of the day, Sunstorm Energy is very flexible on the programs and options that we have, so we can be very flexible in finding that right solution for the homeowner. One example is my neighbor. When I finally got to know them, and they learned that I was in the solar industry, they told me that, solar isn't making sense. They looked into it time and time and time again. They've been told to do this, they've been told to do that. They got a whole bunch of stuff that just didn't work, which was odd for me to hear, knowing how we do things. So I said, hey, just give me another shot. Let's see if I can have a crack at it. And sure enough, we met, everything made sense. And I have to imagine it was because we take a different approach. We're consultative, find out what your needs are, find out what the best solution is, and then go and see if that makes the most sense.
When you look at solar as a service, one of the things that our customers have told us they really appreciate over time is, number one, how thorough we are in them understanding everything that they are going to receive. One of the things that they love about this is that they get fixed, predictable cost of electricity, something that they would never be able to have with the utility company because they never know what next year is going to look like. So with our customers, one of the first questions they often ask, and they say, well, how long is this? And if we say, it's a 25-year agreement, they go, oh, no, 25 years. Once they understand that that is the best thing that could happen to them, is that they're going to be guaranteed the specific price for power locked in for the next 25 years. So they know exactly what their cost of electricity is today. They know what it is in 10 years. They know what it is in 20 years, right? There's no more uncertainty. So the value proposition and the things that they tend to love so much about it is they benefit today and they benefit all the way down the line for the full 25 years. So instead of that being a negative, it turns out to be the best thing that we could possibly do for them. why would solar as a service even be a thing? And it's often led with all of the benefits of going solar, removing the risk and the liabilities. And you're like, well, what do you mean? Well, I mean, it's awesome to have a solar system. Buy it, sign a service agreement, whatever you like. The downside that to some people, and one of the reasons that some people that we've met that have signed on with us that chose not to go solar was because they didn't want to take on the debt. They were concerned about what happened years down the road, warranties, and what happens if the company goes out of business. And they had all of these concerns, reasonable concerns to have, and that caused them to hold back from moving forward with it. And what solar as a service does is it takes all those reasons they were excited about solar and it removes all the concerns that they have. It allows them to go solar while their partner, in this case us, takes on the responsibility of owning, operating, maintaining, repairing the system if it's ever needed in those unlikely events. We even provide the insurance, so the customer's homeowner's insurance doesn't have to provide any kind of coverage for the system in case there was ever any damage, if a tree fell into it or something. So customers tend to love that. So, I harken back to those commercials with the staples with that big red easy button, but it's something that is integral to us as we want to make going solar the easy choice. And we feel that solar as a service for most of our homeowners has been the thing that they love the most. By removing all of those concerns and that risk.
One of the best parts about solar as a service is the fact that there's no massive upfront cost, like people have heard about from 10, 15, 20 years ago when you had to go solar then. With solar as a service, you start paying once your system is turned on. When it's producing power, that's when your solar bill starts. And almost across the board, that solar payment is less than the utility bill that it is replacing. People love the fact that they get that savings benefit from day one and then continue to realize more and more and larger savings as time goes on. Your predictable rate with power from your solar panels stays exactly at what it was supposed to be, what you agreed on from day one. It's not going to randomly change 15 years into some surprise amount. People love the fact that those rates stay at that predictable amount, even though the utility is going crazy. As that utility rate goes up, your savings grows every year. With solar as a service, month one, let's just say your savings is $100. As that utility rate continues to go up, an unknown amount spiking some years and little others, that savings number continues to grow. And over time, that could grow exponentially to the point where 15 years or 20 years in, that could be multiple hundreds of dollars that you're saving every month.
So I would liken it to, I think another thing that homeowners tend to love about solar as a service is that it is that big red easy button. They have no concern over the long term. What happens if this happens, right? The answer is always, it's not their problem to deal with, right? Simply like if you have a cable company who provides you a cable box, you're paying for the service and that cable box breaks, you don't have to go out and buy a new cable box. They will send you a new cable box, right? And that's the same with the solar system under solar as a service. If in the unlikely event something happened to it, it's fixed. And therefore you paying for said service are promised to get said service, right? Which is kind of nice. One of the things many of our professionals have been told by their customers was that when they had met with solar companies in the past and they looked into their offerings and they were looking at these solar loans and everything, they saw that they were going to have a debt. Some of it was in the tens of thousands of dollars, and they were shocked, and they didn't want to have that on their credit. And probably one of the nicest things about solar as a service is nothing goes on your credit, right? It is a service in the best sense of the word. So you sign the agreement, that service is provided, and you will never show any debt or liabilities on your credit. It will never affect your credit. My recommendation for somebody who has maybe hesitated to look into solar or has looked into it in the past and didn't find something that fit with them would be to give us a shot. One thing that I can promise a homeowner is they won't regret meeting with us, right? I would like to think we have the product that they've been missing, but even if we don't, it will be a good process for them. They will understand it. Our people are professionals, incredibly experienced, incredibly knowledgeable. And so they will explain how everything works. They will show them how it all works. If there's any misconceptions, they will help correct them so that people at very least can make an educated decision about what's best for them and their family.
One of the things that we tell our sales reps, when they're doing follow-up calls is, assure the customer that they're not going to waste their time. You're not going to regret meeting with us. You're going to be happy that you did. The information we have is awesome. The people we have are awesome. They're all professionals, very experienced. If at the end of the day, we determine that, even the programs that we have aren't a good fit for you, you'll still walk away being happy that you met with us. And if we find out that, hey, these programs are the perfect fit, awesome. We're going solar. They're going to be excited and glad that you did.